On the evening of September 6th of the year 2021, best friends Nastia Fesler and Uli Degtyar came to their favorite shawarma and fried pie stall. There was a man with them. He asked his girlfriends what they would like to eat. Nastia asked for a sausage and potato pie for herself and a classmate. Wrapping the edges of the patties in white napkins in a plastic bag and slipping one through the window, saleswoman Marina asked the man, "Are these your daughters?" "Yes, my daughters," the man replied. He stroked Nastia on the head. Nastia's father had died 6 years ago when she was 4. But she did not object to the man, Marina recalled, just enthusiastically biting the cake. Hi, this is Defunct City. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click on the bell so you don't miss new episodes. And we continue. It was an ordinary Monday. After school, Nastia and Uli were hanging out in their own and similar neighborhood, which everyone in Kiselevsk calls Obuvny. Nastia, a short-haired Nastia with a short bob, was dressed in sweatpants and a blue sweatshirt. Blonde Uli wore a school uniform with a black dress and white collar. Uli is described in conversation by her acquaintances as calm, kind, quiet, and homely. Nastia was a leader who was brisk, athletic, cheerful, and brave. Nastia had nothing to do at home. Her mother and stepfather drank. 3 younger siblings from her mother's second marriage ran around the house. The girl often got beaten up for nothing and heard swear words from her mother and stepfather. Her neighbors say Uli lived in a family where she was loved and cherished. Her mother and grandmother took turns seeing her off and greeting her from school until she was in the 5th grade. But since this year, Uli finally managed to convince them that she was old enough to go to school on her own or walk around the neighborhood with Nastia. The girls lived on opposite sides of the school, so they saw each other several times without being able to say goodbye. It seemed to Uli's grandmother Lyubov Mikhailovna that friendship with a girl from such a dysfunctional family would not do her granddaughter any good. But children choose with their hearts, and the rest is not evaluated, unfortunately, says grandmother Uliana. She loved Nastia. She felt very sorry for her. Around 16 o'clock, when the girls were playing on the playground in Nastia's yard with the boys a little younger than them, they spoke to a 41-year-old man who introduced himself as Uncle Degtyar, and the man was told by a child who was in this company. Uncle Degtyar asked the children with interest about what they were doing at school, then suggested they go to the grocery store together and buy them something to eat. The children eagerly agreed and went with him to the store across the street. There they asked to buy them sausage, sunflower seeds, chips, soda, and chocolate bars. Showing initiative, Uncle Degtyar grabbed cheap alcoholic cocktails for his new friends in the store. He spent a total of 2,200 rubles. Fascinated by this kindness, the children even invited Uncle Degtyar into their hut in the yard of Nastia's house, where they liked to gather. This hut is made out of a pile of concrete slabs piled and sent to each other. You still have to manage to get in there. A very narrow loophole leads inside, through which only a child can get, but from the outside no one can see what is going on inside. To make it cozy, the children brought children's mattresses and stuff they didn't need at home. Baby bathtubs, old blankets, the backs of sofas. Nastia built a cage and put a pigeon there, which she named Grisha. And to their delight, a cat recently took a fancy to the children's nook and gave birth to kittens there. Uncle Degtyar could not squeeze into the tent after the children, so he climbed on its roof and jumped in from there. He put food in front of the children, poured them cocktails, and they began to feast. Toward evening, the boys in the group went home because their parents had already called them. The girls had no phones. Nastia did not have one at all, and Uli refused to take hers with her lately, maybe to spend more time with her girlfriend. Uli and Nastia accepted Uncle Degtyar's offer to eat another pie at a kiosk near the bus stop, where bus drivers usually have a snack. One of the boys saw them leave. After they had eaten pies from the stall about 7 in the evening, Uncle Degtyar took the girls to show them his house, his car, and the pets he told them about while they sat in the hut. They walked around the neighborhood for about 25 minutes, and, supposedly, They should have met at least someone they knew who might have seen a man near the girls, but they did not meet anyone. When Nastia did not come home on the evening of September 6, her parents did not pay any attention to it. Nastia had not stayed home several times this year before. Neighbors saw her sleeping on a bench or wandering around the neighborhood until morning. According to Gulnara Mustafina, the principal of the school where the girls studied, Nastia was placed on the juvenile division's records after she was once seen in the street after 22 p.m. Uli's mother came home from work at 7 o'clock in the evening and found her daughter not there and sounded the alarm. She contacted the teachers, the police, and the Lisa Alert volunteers. They combed the entire city from night to morning, going into every abandoned house and dormitory. On the morning of September 7th, the volunteers found the bodies of the girls in one of the summer houses near the school where they were studying. There are even several teachers living on the streets where this house is located. Ksenia Polikarpova, a neighbor of the Fesler family, says that on the evening of September 6, her second-grader son went into the hut. Nastia and Uli were already sitting there alone waiting for Uncle Degtyar, who was supposed to bring them something else from the store. When Uncle Degtyar came into the hut, the girls told their friend Uncle Degtyar, "He's a good man, he feeds us." When Uncle Degtyar and the girls left in the direction of the stall, Xenia's son came home and brought a bottle of soda with the words Uncle Degtyar gave. Xenia then did not understand what Uncle Degtyar was, but her son assured her yes, never mind. He had already left, without specifying, however, that he left the tent with the girls. When police officers and volunteers came to Xenia the next morning and began questioning her son, he told her that the girls had gone with Uncle Degtyar toward the cafe that evening and described him. At the same time, the police looked through the city and store cameras. In the video, the boy identified the man. The police found out that Uncle Degtyar, with whom the girls were walking, was 41-year-old Viktor Pesternikov. He was convicted of violent acts of a sexual nature in 2009 years against a person known to be under the age of 14. He had a wife and children at the time. When Pesternikov went to prison, one of the children was 1 year old and the other 2.5. His wife divorced him, changed her and the children's last name, and left the region. When Pesternikov was released from prison in 2019, he was ordered for 8 years to come to the bodies of internal affairs at his place of residence twice a month for registration, and was prohibited from being out of the house between 22 p.m. and 6 in the morning. He was also prohibited from visiting public events and from leaving the Prokopievsk city district where he was registered at that time, and from visiting places of public catering where alcohol was sold. The house where Viktor lived before his arrest was demolished, so he moved to the neighboring town of Mysky and made up with a woman there who had an 8-year-old daughter. He told her nothing about his past. One day Pesternikov went fishing and suddenly disappeared. The woman assumed he was dead and called volunteers to look for him. Soon he was found in the hospital with a microstroke. There, the woman also learned that he was serving time for raping a child and left him. In 2019, Viktor was twice brought to administrative responsibility under Part 2 of Article 1924 of the Code of Administrative Offenses. Failure to comply with administrative restrictions and failure to fulfill the duties imposed under administrative oversight. In 2020 year, the head of the Mysky Police Department filed a lawsuit in court requesting that the restrictions imposed on Pesternikov be supplemented. The court ruled that instead of 2 times, he must report to the police 3 times a month, and he must not leave his house from 21 o'clock instead of 22 o'clock. This, however, did not stop Pesternikov from leaving the boundaries of the Moscow urban district, which he is not allowed to leave, and leaving for a part-time job breaking bricks in Kiselevsk. Pesternikov's boss at his new brick-picking job asked Galina, the owner of a dacha plot in the Shu district, to let Viktor stay at her house under his responsibility. When she came to her plot on the morning of September 7th to dig potatoes, she saw a police cordon. That's when she learned that the girls' bodies had been found in her house an hour earlier. According to Galina, she did not meet Victor herself. She just told his boss where the keys to the house were. And Victor himself came in and took over when he needed to. The police caught Victor on the afternoon of the 7th of September at his place of work on the bricks. At first he calmly told them that the girls were the first to talk to him. He was eating sunflower seeds, and they asked him for some to satisfy their hunger, and that he supposedly bought the girls some food to feed them and pigeon, and then everyone went home. But that evening he confessed to rape and murder. Nastia, 7, who was in the company of the boys and Uncle Degtyar that night, remembered only that the man taught the boys to fight and told them that he had bought a house, an apartment, and a car. He and the girls were shaken up when they tasted the alcohol Uncle Degtyar offered them. His brother, 8-year-old Tolia, was Nastia's friend. Their mother Xenia remembers that when she came home from the search, Tolia asked Mum, "Have they found Nastia yet?" I said they found her, but it was too late. Why didn't you say at once that they left the yard with Uncle Degtyar? We would have given the alarm right away. We would have caught them. We would have found the girls alive. But what can we do now? Now Tolia lies at home all day, almost nothing to eat. Nastia's pigeon Grisha and the boys let him out of his cage and set him free. One thing I did not understand, how he took to them a confidence in just a couple of hours, so that they, in spite of hundreds of warnings from adults, just picked up and went after him. The school principal, Gulnara Mustafina, still can't believe it. After all, on the 1st of September they were given a safety briefing. Do not go with a stranger. Do not take anything out of his hands. Yet Mustafina insists that the situation in Nastia's family is normal. According to neighbors and parents of the girls' classmates, Nastia went to school in whatever she had on. She studied mediocrely, but never skipped school. She was very sociable. It was also an opportunity for her to go to the canteen during breaks and collect leftovers from the tables to take home to the younger kids and eat by herself. Nastia's mother, Elena Fesler, had 5 children. She said that she accidentally crushed her 2-month-old baby by breastfeeding. After Nastia's death she was left with 3 children. 2 daughters aged 8 and 4 and a 2-year-old son. Elena and her husband do not work now and live on a large family allowance. According to the school director, the family has a payment of about 25,000 rubles. Elena did not go to the house where her daughter was killed or to the identification parade. I figured there was nothing for women to do there. They say he was so violent that even the police were clutching their heads there. We got in touch with his ex-wife. She said that in public he was a dandelion, but at home he beat her and her children beyond human understanding. So they even ran away from him, says Elena with a kind of conspiratorial intonation, like someone telling gossip about strangers or retelling the plot of the TV show Let Them Talk. The only thing Elena seems to regret is that she has lost her good assistant. Nastia will do everything. Fold things, hang laundry and do the dishes. She helped me to do everything. So she is, as they say, the chief helper. But now Lisa will help me instead of Nastia. She just followed him because she felt the warmth of a father. Subtly remarks Nastia's grandmother, who all the time talking to Helena, stood silent at the window. Journalists caught Elena's parents and her brothers in the yard. Their eyes were red with tears as they waited in front of the officials who came to them one by one. They refused to talk to the journalists. My grandmother Lyubov Mikhailovna in a black scarf was sitting in the yard of their house, saying, "As long as the rooster won't bite my ass, nobody wants to do anything in this town." Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click on the bell so as not to miss new episodes and stay informed.